So good morning, good afternoon, guys. Good evening. This depends on where you're watching this video from. If you're a new subscriber, welcome home. Karibu nyumbani. That's what we say in Africa. If it's not your first time, you're a returning subscriber. Thank you so much for trusting in us. I would wish to say thank you so much because you really believed on us, and that's why you're back here. You wouldn't be here if for sure you thought there's nothing that is important in this house. So karibu nyumbani and feel at home. In this channel, we normally say it's about enlightening ourselves, what we feel, what I feel that you guys need to know, what I feel that it's not that you don't know. I may not be the best person to tell you all this. Let me position this a little bit. It's not that you don't know, but it's something that we need enhancement, just a little enhancement. We come here and assist each other. We normally say work without play makes zippy a dullness. And as usual, I've been promising that I don't want to be a dullness. So also work without playing, without exercise makes you unhealthy. So that's why we are here today. I want to preach about, the other day we were talking about mental health, how alcoholism affects you, how alcoholism will end up ruining your life and stuff. But today we are talking about a different thing apart from NCLEX and apart from the mental health. Most of the time you'll hear me mention of cardiovascular system because I feel like that's my best topic. And today I thought about there are so many factors that lead us into having other conditions simply because our heart had an issue but we didn't know. Something like hypertension. Hypertension is high blood pressure. It is the heart that is involved. Hypertension is a silent killer that people don't know until maybe you develop severe, right? Cerebrovascular injuries and stuff. So in this case, let's talk about anatomy of the heart. Anatomy and physiology of the heart. So that later we'll talk about the other conditions. We all know that the heart has 4 chambers. We have 2 atriums and we have 2 ventricles. Apart from the ventricles and the atriums, we also have the layers that protect the heart. We have the inner layer, which is the endocardium. We have the outer layer, which is the epicardium. And we have the myocardium as well. Myocardium is the most strongest because it helps the ventricles in contracting during the pumping of the blood, right? And we know the left ventricle is the one that has the strongest muscle, that is the myocardium. Guys, we are together with you in this. So in this case, you find that during the conductivity of the heart, like the way I'm seated right now, there is that conduction that is taking place in my heart. There is that conduction, you who is watching me here, there is that conduction that is taking place in your heart. We'll talk about it later in a different scenario. Today, I just want us to deal with one thing. Let's get the outline of the heart. So we talked about the ventricles, the layers, the ventricles and the atriums. We know that the heart pumps blood to the rest of the body and also supplies blood to itself through the blood vessels, right? So if you were to look at it in your mind, if you were to conceptualize, if you were to imagine, just create a heart in your mind, you would try to imagine that the blood is coming from the superior vena cava, that is from the brain, direct to the heart. Then there is inferior vena cava, back to the heart, and then it's pumped into the atrium, that is the right atrium. It's pumped, it's filled into the ventricles, and then it's pumped to the lungs for oxygenation, and then from there it comes back for it to be pumped through the left ventricle, and then it is pushed towards the brain, towards the other parts of the body and stuff. But now in this case, if it doesn't happen, if that cycle doesn't happen, there will be stagnation of blood. If there is stagnation of blood, it means that blood is not moving. Everybody knows there is something we call PTI and INR. If your blood is not moving, if your blood is stagnant, just like the way you go to a river, you find that there is flooding of water, but that water is not moving. What will happen? There will be that decantation. There will be so many fibres in that water. Like the water is not clean. But if the water is flowing, that means that water is very clean. So what happens if your blood is not moving throughout the body? What happens if you're a nurse, you're seated there in your desk, you're not playing, like the way I had said? What are the health implications that will come about if you're not active, if your heart is not active? One, you might develop what we call sedentary lifestyle conditions like hypertension. Hypertension will come in such a way that you're just eating and you're sitting down. At the end of the day, you're just developing what we call a lipid are just building up in your body. you end up developing atherosclerosis. At the end of the day, your blood vessels are hardened, then they will increase the vascular resistance, and then at the end of the day, what will happen? You develop hypertension. Where did it start? Because you are not active. You need to get out there and do some activities which will enable your heart to pump blood properly. We call pulmonary embolism. Pulmonary embolism, most of the times you find they have other predisposing factors. For example, you've been seated like the way I'm seated right here, all the way you're seated at home. You're doing NCLEX or you're studying for NCLEX very hard, but you're not elevating your limbs. What is happening? Blood is being pumped from the head back to the right atrium, from the legs back to the right atrium through the inferior vena cava. Then it goes into the heart. It's filled down into the ventricles. Then it's pumped to the lungs for oxygenation, pumped back to the left ventricle, and then it's pumped back to the cycle continues. But in this case, you have stagnated your blood because the venous return from down there is not coming back like the way it's supposed to be. There is that stasis. What will happen? You will start developing clots. The blood will be thick. It will start clotting. So at the end of the day, you find that there is a blood clot that will dislodge and maybe go to your brain. Either it will dislodge, go to your lungs, it will dislodge or go to your heart, and then it blocks, you get a cardiac arrest and all that, right? Remember, we are talking about the heart. Other things will come in maybe when you have issues with your valves, especially for young children under 5 years. You find that they normally get upper respiratory tract infections, which are so recurrent. So what will happen? The upper respiratory tract infections, they, instead of them being treated, they go down and then they affect the heart valves. Rheumatic fevers ends up affecting the heart valves, and then the heart valves will start developing stenosis, regurgitation. Keep your heart healthy by eating the right thing. There's so many other things that we could talk about because we were not aimed at talking about so many things about the heart and everything. There's so many things that we'll talk about, but because we don't have time to finish them in one video, let me just say that in a nutshell, you're supposed to take care of yourself. You're supposed to take care of your body, take care of your heart. If you take care of your heart, at the end of the day, it will take care of the rest of the body. Because remember, the heart is the one that pumps nutrients, it pumps oxygen, it pumps food, it pumps the toxins out. Heart is very vital in our body, right? So if you take care of your heart, it will take care of the rest of your, change your lifestyle. If you're that person who bagas alcohol, waraji, and everything like we had talked in the other video, please reduce the consumption of alcohol if you can. If you can stop, just stop. If you can't stop, just reduce it. That is one. Eating pizza, my friend, you think that eating pizza is a lifestyle? You think eating those junk food is because you have money? But at the end of the day, look at the negative implication that you're doing to your body. Reduce on junk foods. End of the day, look at what implications they have upon your body. Okay. Another thing, do a lot of exercises. You've seen me going down that reminds me that you guys are not even watching that video when I had gone to Thompson Falls. Going down the river, going down the stream, going down there, it makes my heart active. Doing the aerobics, do the walkings, do all the stuff that you need. And then last but not least, having regular checkups with the doctor. Have a habit, make it a habit of you getting checked regularly so that at least they are able to identify. Maybe you have troponins are high, cardiac biomarkers are they're quite high or something, and they'll be able to identify yourself. And also, there's something else I wanted to point out. Remember, when you're young, you have the energy, you have all it takes to be healthy and stuff. You have all it takes to be a healthy person. But again, it gets to a point as you're growing older, your systems are also shutting down. So you also need to make sure that with age, with time, as you grow old, you need to take care of yourself. Can you imagine? We've said that the heart is enclosed by a pericardial sac, right? Who has ever operated on a chicken? Have you ever seen a chicken that the heart is surrounded by a lot of fatty tissues and stuff? And this heart of yours, it needs some space for it to pump. It needs some space for it to pump. But now imagine it's pumping in a place that is so tight because of the mafuta and everything. The cholesterol are too high. Gosh, you need to cut down on that. Without wasting for so much of your time, I want to say thank you so much for giving me time for listening to this. However much maybe it's not that important to you, but I'm sure it will help somebody who really needed to hear this information. So let's take care of our heart. It will take care of us in the near future. Thank you guys. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Also share this video if you feel like it was helpful.